Hello, you are watching the Daily News Bulletin, brought to you by Vietnam News Agency. Here come the headlines. Party General Secretary Nguyen wraps up Russia-Belarus visits. National Assembly's session concludes. Vi-Giam singing wins UNESCO's intangible cultural heritage status. Vietnamese Party General Secretary Nguyen came back to Hanoi on November 20th, successfully concluding his two-day visit to Belarus. Before his return, the party chief met with Chairman of the Council of Belarus National Assembly, Anatoly Rubinov.
At a meeting in Minsk on November 27th, the two leaders have affirmed the significance of cooperation between legislative bodies to the bilateral oral ties. Host and guests suggested the two countries' legislative bodies increase delegation exchanges at all levels and experience sharing, while supporting each other at regional and international inter-parliamentary forums. Both sides concurred that the Vietnam-Belarus Friendship Parliamentarian Group and the Working Group of the National Assembly of Belarus on cooperation with the National Assembly of Vietnam should coordinate more closely to strengthen their role in connecting parliamentarian partnership activities. Also on November 27th, the party chief visited the Belarusian State Museum of the Great Patriotic War history. Later the same day, the Vietnamese leader met members of the Belarus-Vietnam Friendship Association and Belarusian veterans who fought in Vietnam during the war. General Secretary Nguyen's visit to Russia and Belarus aimed to strengthen the bilateral traditional friendships and cooperation ties.
The 8th session of the 13th National Assembly concluded in Hanoi on November 20th, after more than 1 month of working. During the session, deputies passed laws and decisions on the country's important issues.
Speaking at the closing ceremony, the National Assembly chairman said the deputies looked into such major issues as drug detoxification and wage increase. They also put forth goals for 2015, focusing on stabilizing the macroeconomy, facilitating production, improving the quality of competitiveness of products, raising the efficiency of public investments, and accelerating administrative reform. The National Assembly passed a number of laws, including the draft revised law on investments, the revised enterprise law, and the amended law on housing, which allows foreigners and Vietnamese people residing abroad to hire and own real estate in Vietnam. Cabinet members answered questions on issues in the church during the legislators' hearing session, meeting the aspiration of voters and deputies nationwide. Notably, the deputies conducted votes of confidence on 50 key positions, holding positions elected or approved by the National Assembly. Accordingly, all the 50 officials passed the vote.
The World Economic Forum will assist Vietnam to improve the country's competitive edge. Philip Rosler, the forum's managing director, made a commitment at a meeting with Vietnamese Prime Minister Nguyen in Hanoi on November 20th. Rosler is on a working visit to Vietnam to attend an upcoming international conference that will focus on enterprises' role in improving national competitiveness in the context of international integration. The guest said the World Economic Forum is willing to offer support and attend economic forums hosted by Vietnam and regional countries in the coming time. Prime Minister Tấn Dũng proposed the forum work closely with Vietnam to find out practical solutions for higher national competitive edge. He revealed that a delegation of the Vietnamese government will attend the World Economic Forum slated for January 2015 in Davos. The leader added Vietnam will get on well with other stakeholders to facilitate the event. Issues relating the Southeast Asian country will be part of the 2015 forum's agenda. Rectors of Vietnamese and Hungarian universities gathered at a conference in Hanoi on November 27 to discuss measures for expanded education and training links between the two countries.
Addressing the event, Minister of Education and Training Phạm Vũ Luận expressed his hope that through the meeting, a number of orientations and plans will be outlined so as to accelerate the implementation of cooperation agreements between the two nations and their universities in particular. Hungarian President János Áder, who is now on an official visit to Vietnam, said his country is willing to admit Vietnamese students to study at its universities. The president noted that the Hungarian government will double the number of its scholarship for Vietnamese students to 100 in the time ahead. On the occasion, Hungary's Liszt Academy of Music and the Vietnam National Academy of Music signed a cooperation agreement on training and academy exchange.
Vietnam wants to make full realization of the rights of people with disability that are set in international programs on the issue. Minister of Labour, Work, Invalids and Social Affairs Phạm Thị Hải Truyền made a remark at the Asia Pacific Disability Forum in Hanoi on November 27.
According to the United Nations, around 15% of the world's population, or 1 billion people, live with disabilities. Vietnam has more than 6.7 million disabled people, constituting 8.7% of the population. Vietnam has been actively implementing the strategy reached at the first Asia-Pacific Disability Forum in the Republic of Korea in 2012. It is finalizing the last procedures for the National Assembly to ratify the United Nations Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities at the 8th session. With 2 plenary sessions, this year's event creates a platform for disabled people to share a range of topics, including the one on vocational training.
What the disabled hope from this forum and the UN Convention is that the society and social organizations will pay more attention to creating more opportunities for them to integrate into society.
A number of activities are organized on the sidelines of the event, such as a photo exhibition, a gala dinner, and a walking tour of Hanoi in response to International Day of Persons with Disabilities.
Representatives from the business community in Vietnam have vowed to protect children's rights by supporting their parents as caregivers and ensuring their safety in all business activities. They made the pledge at an event called Zero Talks in Hanoi on November 27.
UNICEF data show about 100 children in Vietnam die every day of preventable causes. Nearly 70% of Vietnamese children have experienced some form of violence. In response to the situation, UNICEF Vietnam has launched the Believe in Zero campaign, aiming to bring the number of children excluded from Vietnam's recent economic growth down to zero. Yusuf Abdel Jalil, UNICEF representative in Vietnam, suggested that national economic progress extend to children. Zero Talks refer to a series of talks and seminars that explore ways the public and private sectors can work together to ensure no child is left behind. We are here to take part in the Zero Talks, but this is not only about talking. It's time to take action for children, said Deputy Prime Minister Vũ Đức Đam. At the Zero Talks, the delegates agreed to 10 principles of respecting and supporting children's rights, as well as to promote youth employment.
Contributions of Vietnam's logistics to export-import activities and global integration were discussed at the forum in Ho Chi Minh City on November 27.
Statistics showed that costs for logistics account for 10 to 13% of GDP in developed countries, while the figure in Vietnam is up to 25%. However, Vietnam's logistics enterprises have yet to adequately collaborate with their ex-import partners, resulting in the low competitiveness of Vietnamese commodities. Participants at the forum said one of the biggest obstacles hampering port activities is poor infrastructure. They cite the lack of goods gathering centers and specialized services in many localities.
How to make logistics useful in export-import activities and the global value supply chain remains a big question in Vietnam. Logistics businesses should improve their proficiency and vision themselves.
Some participants blamed the logistics insufficient for the competitiveness of Vietnamese products.
It is obvious that a healthy market, along with consistent policy and proper logistics, will improve the competitive edge of Vietnamese enterprises.
Businesses operating in export-import and logistics sectors saw ways to step up their connectivity for the common growth, especially when Vietnam is poised to join the Trans-Pacific Partnership Agreement and ASEAN Economic Community by 2015.
Vietnam earned $28.2 billion from exporting agroforestry and fishery products in the January-November period, a year-on-year increase of 12.1%.
The Ministry of Agriculture and Rural Development said the volume of rice exports decreased by 2.7% to 6 million tons, but earnings rose by 1.9% to nearly $2.8 billion. China remains Vietnam's biggest rice market, followed by the Philippines. Both pepper and coffee saw their export values up by 35.7% in the past 11 months. However, rubber exports generated only $1.6 billion, a year-on-year decrease of 27%. In the review period, seafood export value reached around $7.2 billion, an increase of 19.9%. The export revenue of forestry products went up 13% to nearly $5.9 billion, respectively.
The traditional Ngo Boat Race Festival took place in Viet City, the southern province of Hậu Giang, on November 20th. Over 1,000 athletes in the region participated in the festival. More in the following.
This is one of the most important activities of the 6th Cultural, Sports and Tourism Festival of the Khmer ethnic group. 17 teams from 12 cities and provinces in the southwestern region competed in the 600, 800, 1,000 and 1,200 meter categories. The 3-day festival that opened on November 27th aims to honor, preserve and promote the unique culture of the Khmer people, contributing to strengthening the great national unity bloc. Other activities within the festival include folk games, art performances, a food fair, and a workshop on the region's tourism potential. Hậu Giang province is home to over 26,000 Khmer people, accounting for 3% of its total population.
Vietnam's nghệ tĩnh Vi-Giam folk singing has been officially recognized by UNESCO as intangible cultural heritage of humanity. The recognition came out at a session of the organization in Paris on November 27.
Vi-Giam folk music is popular in nearly 260 villages in the central provinces of Nghệ An and Hà Tĩnh. This form of folk singing is estimated to have 15 tunes of Vi and 8 airs of Giam. It reflects the work, cultural life and feelings of the residents in the central coastal provinces. At the session, Deputy Minister of Cultural, Sports and Tourism Đặng Thị Bích Liên said the recognition of Vi-Giam as a cultural masterpiece of humanity is of great significance to Vietnam, since the folk genre plays an important role in bringing the local community together. The country committed to implementing an action program to preserve Vi-Giam singing, carrying out policies to honor artisans, and intensifying communication campaigns to educate young generations on this type of art. Vi-Giam became the 9th Vietnamese cultural practice recognized by UNESCO as intangible heritage. Apart from Vi-Giam, nhã nhạc, or royal court music in the central province of Thừa Thiên Huế, đơn ca tài tử, amateur singing in the southern region, quan họ, love duet singing, ca trù, ceremonial singing, and swan singing in the northern region have also won the UNESCO status. Along with Vi-Giam, 33 other cultural pieces worldwide received UNESCO's recognition. bringing the total number of heritage for this category to 314.
The bulletin comes to an end. Thank you for watching. Goodbye for now.